So tired of shitting on shitty movies. I'm going into this movie thinking it's going to be shitty. Maybe it's not going to be shitty, and then it's shitty. Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? I'm Steve Stebbing,
And I'm Chloe Stebbing.
and we are the weekly rundown of what we're watching, which may become what you're watching. And we come at you every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on stevestebbing.ca. Last week, I teased I don't know, Eli Roth wanting his own Guardians of the Galaxy, but using a video game IP to do it, and a beloved video game IP, like the heart and soul of Gearbox Studios, I would say. And I mean, let's just jump right into it. What's fresh for your eyeballs this week? Yes, let me step on the bumpers, make sure that they come through before I actually introduce the movie, which is Borderlands.
Based on the best selling video game, this all star action adventure follows a ragtag team of misfits on a mission to save a missing girl who holds the key to unimaginable power. Starring Kate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Edgar Ramirez, Ariana Greenblatt, Florian Munteanu, Gina Gershon, and Jamie Lee Curtis. Written and directed by Eli Roth.
And like that's a solid cast, right? Like that's a pretty good cast. I mean, Kevin Hart is obviously like for money. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because like Kevin Hart is kind of like you think Jumanji and shit like that.
Yeah.
That okay, he's good for box office. I don't know if I really see him as that character. Ariana Greenblatt is well cast. I like her as Tiny Tina.
Yeah.
But again, when I say I like, this is in the visual aesthetic that I'm seeing, because everything about this movie is terrible, is awful. I don't think I chuckled, smiled, anything besides shifted my seat kind of uncomfortably and groan a few times. The writing is atrocious, like really, really, really bad. They're trying to make these, they say in the description there, the ragtag group. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to Guardians of the Galaxy. The difference is all of these guys are assholes and irredeemable assholes, and they're not even cool in any sense or form, because they're all saying the most cliched lines that you could possibly say. And I saw someone on Twitter say that Eli Roth has a granny fetish because he took the characters of Lilith and Tannis and cast Kate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis. And that
Yeah.
made me laugh so fucking hard because, I mean, I love both of those actresses, but they are older actresses. Kate Blanchett is an older actress now.
Yeah, I don't understand like why the casted people are so much older than the characters that they're supposed to be portraying. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the movie, but I saw somebody say that it was because they were trying to give Tiny Tina like a motherly character.
Which doesn't come through in the final film whatsoever.
Okay.
Like, whatsoever. I don't know. Maybe there's a thread about both Tannis and Tiny Tina needing to find some sort of acceptance, but it is so thin. And I mean, the biggest problem I have with bad movies is expecting me to care or be invested or anything like that when nothing you've done has earned it in any shape or form. You haven't bought my affections or bought my attention at all with
Mhm.
any of your writing. And the crazy thing is the original screenplay for this movie, I don't know if you heard this, but this screenplay was floating around for 2 or 3 years. It was written by Craig Mazin.
Okay.
And Craig, you know who Craig Mazin is, right?
Sounds familiar.
He wrote Chernobyl, and he's the showrunner and writer for Last of Us.
Okay, okay, right.
So he's a great writer. Yes, he did superhero movie way before he did Chernobyl, but I mean the man has won awards and accolades with Chernobyl, which is an incredible series that honestly just recently fully went through. And Last of Us is phenomenal. So
Mhm.
Craig Mazin comes from good stock. After a couple of rewrites, two writers did a rewrite, and then Eli Roth did his own rewrite, in which he basically just kind of cherry picked things out of Mazin's script that he liked, and to the point where Craig Mazin said, "Take my name off of this movie," and now it's written by Eli Roth and Joe Crombie, and I contend that Joe Crombie is not a real. It's not a real name, because when you look up the name, the full name is Joe Abercrombie, and he almost got a few
Uh,
credits. There's no picture, no bio. I think it's like Alan Smithy, like it's a pseudonym, fake
right.
name. So he took his name off the movie. He didn't want anything to do with it. And to take a beloved video game series like Borderlands and to make utter slop, to like kind of revert back to what video game adaptations largely were, is so disappointing. But like even less than that, like Max Payne is a better movie. Both Hitman movies are better movies. This movie is just awful in every sense. I don't even know if for a hate watch it would be worth it.
Yeah, because I've been still wanting to see it just to be
Mhm.
like in on the joke, I
Just to
guess.
Yeah, yeah, and I assume you still will, but I
Yeah,
mean, you don't have to.
right.
This is me doing my public service of like, "Hey, you don't have to go ahead with this at all. I'm here to help you
Unless you
and
want to
guide
torture
you."
yourself.
Yeah, if I'm mad at you, if you have a inflammatory review against a movie that I really like, I'm like, "You know what? You should watch Borderlands."
You specifically.
Yeah, jerk. I mean, no, watch it. You'll enjoy it. But yeah, at the end of the day, not a good movie. Don't watch it. All right, let's move on to something actually that's decent. A new drama called Good One.
During a weekend backpacking trip in the Catskills, 17-year-old Sam navigates the clash of egos between her father and his oldest friend, starring Lily Collius, James LaGrosse, and Danny McCarthy, written and directed by India Donaldson.
And James LaGrosse is like this actor that has been popping up as like supporting roles in big movies and small movies and every movie in between, and always delivers every time. He's one of my favorite actors. Absolutely versatile. Um, this time I playing the father to a queer teen girl that he doesn't understand at all and has like almost minimal to no relationship with, it seems, but trying to get to know her as he brings her out on a trip with his longtime buddy, and they have this kind of testosterone feud with each other, but the other guy's son, the other guy's kid was supposed to come on the trip but canceled out. So it gets to areas of awkwardness in like a slow burn. Like the entire movie is really slow burn and really kind of muted, just kind of a quiet drama between these three people. But it gets uncomfortable in some of the relationship stuff, and it almost feels like it's out of nowhere, which I thought was very true to life, and that has to be due to the direction of India Donaldson, who makes her debut with this film. um I'm not sure what's next for her, but I hope it's something good, because this is such a tiny little film, three only three characters in the whole movie. um but I thought it was very interesting, and I think she has a big future, as does Lily Collias, who plays the lead in this film. Really great understated performance, and an ending that I thought was gonna, I'm not gonna get into spoilers at all, but saw it going in a more um explosive direction than it did. And though I think if they went in my direction, it probably would have cheapened the whole film. But um yeah, once more people see that, you just tweet me and or DM me or whatever, and I'll have a discussion about the ending of a good one. But I enjoyed this movie. I don't think a lot of people are going to check this one out because it's very limited release, but one of the better small productions of 2024, I think. All right, let's go to the home discs, what you can put in your Blu-ray player. Half sentence. That's what I'm gonna go into this segment. Blu-ray player. like I froze out or something. My mind did. I clearly had no idea what to say next. But this is on the blue. One of them I got from Allied Vaughn a few weeks ago. 8 Men Out.
A dramatization of the Black Sox scandal when the underpaid Chicago White Sox accepted bribes to deliberately lose the 1919 World Series, starring John Cusack, John Mahoney, Michael Rooker, Clifton James, Michael Lerner, Christopher Lloyd, Charlie Sheen, David Strathairn, and D.B. Sweeney. Written and directed by John Sayles.
I'm making you say all the names this week. I went to
Yeah.
Wikipedia and broke down all of the names.
Well, you
I
can't
don't know
leave
who's
out
expendable.
Michael Rooker, so.
No, yes, and that was a big thing that I want to talk to you about because this is Michael Rooker, but this film was made in 1988. So this
Oh,
is young Rooker, full head of curly hair, Michael Rooker. Like no balding yet. He had just done a film called Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is a really, really phenomenal movie that I think you should. I don't even know if it's streaming or anywhere that you can find it, but if you could find this movie, I think you would really, really dig it because his
okay.
performance is insanely, insanely good. Because Rooker is one of the best character actors in the game,
Yeah,
still to this day. Still, he's still so good. I mean, Merle makes those first few seasons of that show whenever he's on screen.
100%.
But I'm a sucker for baseball movies. It's kind of weird that this is the second John Sayles movie that I brought to this podcast in the last little while because I did City of Hope a few weeks ago, the Blu-ray release of it. So in the sense of it's a John Sayles movie, sure, it's a baseball movie and it has baseball action in it and everything, but it's still kind of structured in a play sense where it does feel like this would transition really well to to the stage. But yeah, I think it might take some viewers out of it being that it's kind of stilted in that sense. But I mean, to see this cast in 1988, like Michael Rooker, we brought up, David Strathairn in 88, John Cusack, who's still so babyface, Charlie Sheen in 88, like DB Sweeney even. And DB Sweeney plays like a really like famous baseball player, Shoeless Joe Jackson, who is like kind of like a pivotal character in Field of Dreams as well. I don't know. I never knew about this movie until probably the last 10 years or so when I was going through John Sayles' filmography. But to finally see it, yeah, I dug it. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have liked it if I saw it when I was a teenager, like in the 90s or anything. This movie would have done absolutely nothing for me. But I really enjoyed it, and yeah, this cast is awesome, especially like seeing Christopher Lloyd and stuff, young Christopher Lloyd,
Mhm.
very cool. All right, let's move on to a series that I got from Shout Factory a handful of years ago, and I finally got around to watching it. This is Ronya, the Robber's Daughter.
The story is about a girl named Ronya, who is the daughter of a chief of a tribe of bandits and lives in a huge castle in the forest with the bandits. The story follows Ronya as she encounters mystical creatures, makes friends with another young child like herself, and experiences life in the forest. Narrated by Gillian Anderson, directed by Goro Miyazaki, based on a story by Astrid Lindgren.
And I mean, this came to me in like a Studio Ghibli box set. So this is like me digging into the Studio Ghibli stuff that I've gotten because I have Princess Mononoke in like a box set thing. I have Totoro in a box set. Like I have a few Miyazaki things, but I mean, Studio Ghibli is just something that I've only fleetingly been into. Like I enjoyed Ponyo. I Spirited Away is probably my favorite out of all of the releases I've seen, and I have an appreciation for it, but it's never like I wasn't like all about trying to like last film festival. I wasn't all about trying to go to The Boy and the Heron. Like I
Right.
knew I'd be able to see it later at some point. So this is me digging into that collection. And I love Gillian Anderson, so I can listen to her narrate everything, like everything and anything. But this is the Ghibli that is kind of CG as well. Like there's a depth and a roundedness to it, but it also at the same time feels like lesser than what their film quality is.
Okay.
So it does feel like a tapered down for television. And it's weird to see that studio tackle a Swedish story. Like I think that's the sensibilities you wouldn't think match up, but actually in the animation storytelling, they kind of do. And another reason why I dug onto this one is because Netflix has done a Ronya series as well. And it's got an actor I really like in it. His name is Severe Goodnesson, who is in Borg v. McEnroe, which was a movie with Shia LaBeouf that I really, really liked. And I mean, it's a selfish one as well because I have a hard time finding something that your sister Hannah will watch
Right.
and will be actually interested in it because if it's not YouTube, then they're not into it. If it's not a YouTube short or something that they've picked out or
Right.
some guy yelling about Roblox, they're not into it. But I got them to watch this series and be interested in watching more episodes in this series. So I don't know. That's a bias win for me. So it was cool to break out the set and see some of my Shout Factory G Kids Blu-ray stuff and kind of play around with that. So enjoying it so far. Alrighty, let's see what you can find on your streaming services. All right, leading the streaming pile this week is a Matt Damon Affleck reunion, but it's not Ben, it's Casey. This is The Instigators.
Follows two robbers who must go on the run with the help of one of their therapists after a theft doesn't go as planned. Starring Matt Damon, Casey Affleck, Hong Chow, Michael Stolbarg, Paul Walter Hauser, Ving Rhames, Alfred Molina, Toby Jones, Jack Harlow, and Ron Perlman. Directed by Doug Lyman, available on Apple TV Plus.
Again, it's about the cast. Like when when you read the cast out for Borderlands, you're like, that's a good cast. Terrible movie. This movie, really, really great cast. Middle movie. Like not bad, but not like amazing. Not like I'm going to recommend it to everybody. Like a solid Boston heist film that's not super memorable. Um,
Okay.
but it is so Boston to its core. Like the accents are all over this movie. And Matt Damon and Casey Affleck have this straight man, annoying man banter the whole fit, like the stoic quiet type is Matt Damon, and
Hmm.
then the won't shut up and antagonizing Casey Affleck is the other side, and so that's the banter the whole film. And then you have Hong Chow, who I adore anytime Hong Chow is in a movie. She is one of my favorite supporting actresses for a long time, and just for the double punch of The Menu and The Whale, she gets she gets everything from me. Like she's fantastic. I really really love her, and she's great in this. She's Matt Damon's psychiatrist in the movie. Uh, but I mean the heist itself is not like an amazing. It's not like this amazing Ocean's 11 type heist. So I like an intricate heist type movie. Like I like a Logan Lucky and this type of film. So I need a little more depth when it comes to the actual heist. And there's also some janky CG in parts where you're watching, you're like, this is like an expensive Hollywood movie, and that looked awful. Just awful. There's one scene in general that there's uh, just a composite shot that's just awful, awful. And then it was really nice to see Ron Perlman in a film again. He plays the mayor in this movie, or the outgoing mayor, I'll say. And yeah, I love Ron Perlman, but man, that guy's got just a skull. That man's
Yeah.
head is huge.
I've seen him be compared to Maine Coon cats.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I like it. I like it. That's a great comparison. I can't see the difference. I really can't see the difference. All right, let's move on to television. This is a new series. I think it's done its full first season now. It's called Phantasmas.
It follows the tale of when Julio Torres lost a golden oyster, starring Julio Torres, Martin Gutierrez, Thomas Matos, and Joe Rumrill, created by Julio Torres, available on Crave. This sounds very personal. Sounds like a very personal experience to
It is
Julio over here.
Julio Torres is this. he's a comedian that is deadpan, also flamboyantly queer,
Okay.
and there's there's a craziness about his comedy. He appears as a character. His name is Ricochet in a series with Adie Bryant called Shrill, which is a fucking hysterically funny show. But that was the first time I saw him. And then he had a series on HBO with Fred Armisen called Lost as Spookies. If I'm saying, yeah, Lost as Spookies, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, he created that show as well. And then he has a movie that I've been trying to track. The release has been really messed up in Canada, but he did a movie where he wrote and directed, and it's got Tilda Swinton in it and stuff. And it's called Problemista.
Okay.
And he's just odd. It's like, you know who Mikhail Gondry is? He did like Be Kind, Rewind, and Eternal Sunshine and Spotless Mind. He's like kind of like he does special effects out of like really lo-fi kind of look and stuff.
Right.
Julio Torres reminds me of that, but even more lo-fi, and I really adore him for that. And his storytelling is so out there and odd. I mean, Julio in this show always goes off in tangents, telling like weird stories of like inanimate objects living in their own world. He has a whole scene with the alphabet, and the alphabet are all personalized people. And Q is a DJ that's played by Steve Buscemi in the first episode. It is so weird. But me and Jen kind of fell in love with it right in that first episode. We're like, this is amazing. And there's nothing like it on television. Well, for better for worse, I guess. I think it's a good thing that shows like this exist, and to show that HBO is still kind of the kings when it comes to taking chances with just weird ideas and putting them on screen. I mean, if it wasn't for HBO, we never would have had Tenacious D with Mr.
Right.
Show. So, and but honestly, it's going to be for a niche audience, but the guest star list is great. I mean, I did say Steve Buscemi's in this. Amy Poehler shows up. Emma Stone shows up. Rachel Dratch. Like, there's a lot of really great and funny people that show up in this show. So I recommend it. It's weird. It's so weird, but kind of fitting. Let's get more HBO shows here. This is the new season of Industry.
Young bankers and traders make their way in the financial world in the aftermath of the 2008 collapse, created by Mickey Down and Conrad K., available on Crave.
And I mean, this is Wall Street stuff. This is insider trading stuff, but done in the UK. So it has more of that international, well, not international, but that BBC edge, which is stuff that I dig into. And honestly, when you do Wall Street, when you do that kind of intrigue and that kind of storytelling correctly, it is really fascinating. And to put it into television and to stretch it out makes it even better, because I'm really liking Industry. I think it's one of the better shows currently playing on HBO, especially since Succession ended its run. And Kit Harrington from Game of Thrones is now in the series as a very pivotal role. And it's got a great ensemble to it that I really like, and the spats that they have on the trading floor and the arguments are so well written and so well done, and it feels like warfare, but in a very different sense, and I kind of dig that. And I mean, the series starts with a bang too, and really gets you invested in the characters, which is very important when it comes to doing long-term storytelling. So I really like that one. But again, if you're not really willing to be like into the numbers and the financials and stuff like that and the cut through throat attitude, then it probably won't work for you. All right, let's move to a different streaming service for Bad Monkey.
After getting bounced from the Miami PD, a former detective is demoted to restaurant inspector in the Florida Keys. An unusual new case might get him back in the department if he can get past a trove of oddballs and one bad monkey. Starring Vince Vaughn, Michelle Monaghan, Jodie Turner Smith, Meredith Hagner, Rob Delaney, Natalie Martinez, L. Scott Caldwell, Ronald Pete, and John Ortiz. Created by Bill Lawrence based on the novel by Carl Hiaasen. Available on Apple TV Plus.
And so Bill Lawrence is Spin City, Scrubs, Cougar Town, Ted Lasso, Shrinking. So Bill Lawrence is like heavyweight television creator at this point. So linking up with Vince Vaughn, um, it's not to boost Bill Lawrence's career, but I think to boost Vince Vaughn's career. Um, and the series they've chosen here, this Bad Monkey, which is based on that book by Carl Hysen, is so Vince Vaughn coded. Like it's like this character walked off the set of Wedding Crashers. Like it's so that Vince Vaughn, like just exactly his wheelhouse. Which it falls into a category that I might call like abrasive comedy.
Okay.
Like that his I don't know, Vince Vaughn's comedy always feels like abrasive or on the defensive. If that makes
Okay.
any sense. Like it's
I don't
just
think
the
I've seen
kind
enough Vince Vaughn to
yeah,
fully
I
get the picture.
it yeah, cuz I don't know, it's just like the character that kind of is run through his whole career, really, like
Mhm.
going back to Swingers. Um And for that reason, like I like Vince Vaughn, but I don't know if I can take it for a full series. So I'm wondering, is this series interesting enough to continue? Um, I'm not sure yet after one episode. I don't know. I'm gonna keep going and see where I land with it. There's been a lot of news that Charlotte Lawrence, Bill Lawrence's daughter, is in this, and that it's an unnecessary celebration of nepotism. But when it comes to directors and creators and stuff, and I know we talked about it last week with M. Night Shyamalan and everything, but I think it's just like in you as a parent to want your kids to be part of what you're doing.
Mhm.
So why not? Like, I guess the argument is that you're taking that opportunity away from another actress that's not related to you that could use a job. But I mean, her character is so kind of so supporting right now that it's not even like a huge juicy role or anything. So maybe it gets bigger as the show goes on, but at this point, I mean, it's not that I don't find that big of a deal, to be honest. The writer of this though, Carl Hysan, he does kind of these Florida PI type of stories. So he's kind of like the Elmore Leonard, but more lighthearted, I guess. Not really, but he's kind of ripping on Elmore Leonard, who did like I mean, Justified is based on Elmore Leonard, and Out of Sight, and Get Shorty, all those movies. But yeah, I don't know where I stand on Bad Monkey yet. I need to season with it a bit more, I think. Let's move on to something Canadian. This is The Trades.
The Trades is a single cam sitcom about refinery employees that balance the conflicting personalities of a small town with the antics of a stressful workplace. Starring Rob Wells, Anastasia Phillips, and Jennifer Spence. Created by Ryan J. Lindsay. Available on Crave.
And yeah, so this is not only available on Crave, but this is another Crave Bell made show. So this is like Letterkenny or Shoresy. This is made under that umbrella. And Rob Wells, he's Ricky from Trailer Park Boys.
Okay.
This is his new show. Um, Definitely driven to the blue collar audience, like the 9 to 5ers that weld in a shop and then come home and want to laugh at something that's relatable. So but I don't know what the popularity of this show is right now, because you see people talk about Letterkenny, you see people talk about Shoresy. It has a cultural imprint, but I don't see anybody talking about The Trades whatsoever. I've never said, oh, it's a great show. I've never seen anybody like drop any morsel about it. And I watched the first episode, and it's funny, but it is funny in that blue collar like Roseanne, but with a tinge of maple syrup Canadiana to it.
Okay.
So I don't know how much it's going to catch on. I'm still not. I'm fleetingly interested in continuing it, but I will say, and this is close to home with the wife. There's a character that has a raccoon friend that sits in a lawn chair and is a live raccoon and sits in a chair. And it was not good. It was not good for my wife to see a domesticated raccoon.
Giving her
on
excuses,
screen.
giving her reasons, man.
It's given all sorts of leeway and doors opening to the idea that it's a possibility. I'm still my opinion about it hasn't changed. I still think that they're trash pandas that hiss at you and are scary.
Yep. I like the
So
babies, but
I
that's
don't
pretty
know.
much it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe for that reason I won't continue watching the trades because of your raccoon in a lawn chair character. A little quick beat, just quick, but it's also to push another streaming service, and another addiction I have. It's a WWE Next Gen.
Follows the arduous training, individual triumphs, and life altering events of talented young men and women achieving their goals of becoming professional wrestlers and WWE superstars. Available on the Roku channel.
Yes, the Roku channel. I never really bring Roku stuff unless it's like weird, the Al
Well,
Yankovic story or something.
because the last, I feel like the last time we brought a Roku thing here, we got, like, copyrighted.
Oh right, yeah, we did. It was that movie, right? It was that powered movie
Yeah,
with
Bruce
Bruce
Willis.
Willis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Willis got us fragged.
Yep.
Yeah, copyright came down on us. But I mean, WWE Next Gen, it's basically a reality slash competition show. You have all these people that are doing the WWE tryout, which I mean, they do so many of them all the time, and like 0.1% makes it to like be on television with a match. um but it's also like getting to know this core group of characters as well. There was a series on the WWE network called Breaking Ground that I thought was way better, because the people that you were seeing, that you were following their stories, that actually are now in the WWE and full on like WWE superstars at this point. So to watch their whole journey happen was pretty cool, because I don't feel like any of these people are actually going to make it to television. So it's like, what's the point? But yeah, there's really honestly like I'm struggling of what to say about it, because I mean it is reality show at the end of the day, but it's something I've been watching, so I thought I would bring it. But if you're into that, if you're into like kind of sports competition shows, Next Gen's it's all right. It's a little cheesy here and there, but it's okay. All right, I'm gonna bring something new, and it's something that I think Chloe and I are both going to have fun playing around with. This is Movie Journeys. Yes, that whole new bumper that I forced Chloe to make means that we are in our movie journeys now. I have a few going right now. I have my Albert Brooks one that I did from when I watched the documentary Defending Your Life. And after watching Faye, I might do the Faye Dunaway movie journey to watch everything she's done, because I do own Mummy Dearest and I do own Chinatown, so it'd be cool to go back through those movies again. Um, but Warner Brothers sent me a box set of all the Rocky movies on 4K. So I started with Rocky 1,
Okay.
and this is the movie that established Stallone. Nobody wanted to make this movie. There was actually a documentary on Netflix last year called Sly, where he it's just like a life retrospective, and also him just kind of like I don't know. He's working through a lot of dad issues in that documentary, but um really it's a really interesting film, especially when it comes to Rocky, because every studio turned it down. Nobody wanted to touch this movie with a 10-foot pole, so he basically had to do everything himself, and ended up making a hell of a movie and like the birth of a giant franchise.
Mm,
But the great thing about this movie is, yes, it's showcasing Sylvester Stallone, but it's also showcasing a vulnerable character that is immediately related to testosterone and masculinity and everything.
mm,
But Rocky is he's multifaceted. He is not your everyman. He's got he's got a lot of complexity to him, and it explores that masculinity in such a different way that I thought was interesting, but also makes Philly a very big character as well. Like Philly is very much like a supporting role in this film. And I really, really love the supporting characters: Burgess Meredith, Polly, I love, and of course Talia Shire. Um, and the legacy is all established here. And I haven't seen this movie in a really long time, and I loved these movies a lot when I was a kid. Watching it, I was like, wow, I can't believe as a kid that I held focus onto Rocky 1 so much, because a lot of it is kind of relationship drama. There's really not a lot of action to the movie,
Yeah.
and he loses in the end. Like he loses via decision, and they're both beat to a pulp. Like he looks like he's been stung by 18,000 bees. Like he's fucked up at the end of that movie, and he doesn't win the fight, but he wins the girl.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what matters in it. So it's a great establishment to this saga, and I'm going to be interested to bring Rocky 2 to the next part of this movie journey. But I don't know, I might watch Private Benjamin for Albert Brooks next. Who knows? I know you're on a movie journey too. What are you looking at right now?
I am. It's more of a director journey. I'm following the movies
Mhm.
of Nicholas Winding Refn.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Danish.
Are you doing a chronological, or are you just picking things out
By
here and there?
by interest, I guess. So like from like most interested to least interested. Um so the first one that I checked out was Bleeders. I have a review on Letterboxd, which I really enjoyed. I know that it's quite middling in terms of reviews, but I think this is the first film that I've actually seen Mads Mikkelsen star in.
Nice.
So that was really interesting for me, and it kind of like solidified that like, oh yeah, I do like Mads Mikkelsen.
Mhm.
And then I started Neon Demon, which I told you about, that I
Mhm,
don't
and you
like.
hate it.
I
You
hate
hate
it.
it.
I haven't even finished it. I haven't even finished it. I'm
Yeah.
dreading
I
finishing it.
I don't hate this movie. I kinda love it, but yeah,
What
I mean, each their own for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, what are the redeeming things for you? Like, what's good about it to you?
I don't know, there is a LA neon noir grotesqueness to the film of this star-eyed little doe coming into LA, and then just everything finding its way in to corrupt her and to destroy her, because out of jealousy, out of lust, out of there's it's seedy and disgusting.
Yeah.
And um especially it's consuming her
Yeah.
as the film progresses. It's consuming her. You got to get to that third act. I can't go on about this movie.
I read the synopsis. I know what
You
happens.
know what the whole ending is,
Yeah, and I did call it.
because
So,
it's because it is what happens, right?
yeah,
It
like
is what happens.
there were quite large hints to like that's what was going to
Hmm.
happen, and it's happening metaphorically as well.
Yeah.
So, like
Yeah.
I do understand the appeal of this movie. It's just
Hmm.
it doesn't work for me. It comes off
Yeah.
as shock value and just weird scenes that I don't understand.
Like the Keanu Reeves stuff.
Yeah, like the cast. This is another case of the cast. Like Elle Fanning, Jenna Malone, Keanu Reeves. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I tried really hard to like it, but I just can't. But then
I'm looking forward to you like like because Refn's library is so vast and so
yeah,
weird.
definitely.
So,
Well, because he also did
but
Drive with Ryan
mm-hmm.
Gosling, and it's like, where the hell did that
Mm-hmm.
come from?
Mm-hmm.
I am excited to start the Pusher series, though.
Yes. And then after that, I recommend Valhalla Rising.
Okay.
Mads Mikkelsen. in a silent performance.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I
really,
definitely
really,
want to
really
see
good.
more of him. So
Yeah, but that is the new segment, movie journeys, and I'm excited about it because there's so much we could do with that. I got a few reminders before we go out. That's right. This week's reminder is one big one, and I have it on Blu-ray. I'm so pumped about it. I have my copy of my favorite movie of 2024 because Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is on Blu-ray now. There is also, as far as I understand it, a black and white version as well. Like they did with Fury Road. They did the black and chrome version for Fury Road. They did the same for this one. So I have not seen that cut myself. I really actually want it as well, so I can put them next to each other on my shelf because I'm that big of a nerd for it. I reviewed this movie in full on the May 31st episode. I feel like Chloe is going to review this one sometime soon because I know she
yeah,
wants to watch this one. And yeah, I mean, spoilers. I mean, it is my number one movie right at this point of 2024. Uh, If is now on Blu-ray and 4K as Ryan Reynolds' Imaginary Friend movie. I personally wasn't a big fan of this film. I reviewed it on the May 24th episode, and it's also on Paramount Plus as well for streaming. And Thelma is now on Blu-ray. One of the biggest surprises of 2024 for me. June Squibb is an action star, and I love every second of it. It is so funny, so relatable, and just I mean, you feel like you know these characters. I reviewed it on the June 28th episode not too long ago. But I highly, highly recommend Thelma. Watch it with your parents. Watch it with your grandparents. It's so, so, so rewarding. And then what's happening next week?
there's a but.
All right, what's the but?
I saw a collection of short films, and this collection is titled Ethereal Film Night 2024. But the one specific short film that I want to pull out of it is called Make Me a Pizza.
Bored housewife seduces hot pizza guy for free pizza, but is desire worth $29.99? Available on Prime Video. What the fuck, Chloe?
I know. Okay, so watching this collection of short films, all directed by women,
Yeah, yeah.
yep, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, whatever. And then this one starts, and it's like classic 70s porno setup. And I'm like, huh? Like, how?
What did I switch? Where did
Yeah,
hold on.
what is Amazon like insta playing now? Like, what the hell? At first glance, it looks exactly like a 70s porno. Like, you got the pizza guy showing up, you got the housewife with like the silk robe and like the blue eyeshadow and all that shit. And she's like, "Oh, I can't pay for the pizza, but like maybe there's something else." But it doesn't go the way of like a normal porno, obviously, because I wouldn't be talking about it. I'm not bringing porn to the show.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, just so wait. This disclaimer, this is not a
Yeah,
porno.
no. Um, but he's like super weird about it. He's like, well, but like the pizza was made by the store and like my boss is going to be mad if like I don't bring back money cuz like it's not even just me who needs to get paid. There's the people who made the pizza, there's the people who farmed the wheat, who farmed the tomatoes. Like he's like going up like the chain of command on how a pizza is made. And then she kind of like realizes like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I was pretty selfish. And then it just goes absolutely insane. Um there's a god made out of pizza. Um and I don't know, it's like almost like Cronenbergian because it's
Oh,
gross.
nice. There's body horror.
Body horror, but it's pizza. Everything is pizza. And there's porn elements, but it's pizza. There's no genitals or anything. It's pizza.
What the fuck? Again, I reiterate, what the fuck, Chloe? You know, this just means our lineup for Vancouver International Film Festival this year, between our choices we make, it's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah. This is a really interesting one though, and it's in a pretty good collection. Like most of them are pretty good. I think there was only like one
No,
where I was like, oh, I didn't really like that one, but I would definitely
that's awesome.
recommend people check this out.
Is this the first one? You said it's Film Night 2024. Is there like previous years on this one
There's
or?
2023 as well, and I believe I watched that one as well last year,
Okay.
but I'll
That's
have to
cool.
check it out again to make sure.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. That's cool. I like that. I like that concept as well, bringing a bunch of short films as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, now I've got a taste of next week. All right, I'm gonna break the curse. I'm gonna
Okay.
break it. I'm gonna break it. After 2 weeks of bad movies, I'm gonna bring it back on track because I'm gonna see Alien Romulus. This is the new film from Fede Alvarez, and Fede did Evil Dead. He did Don't Breathe,
Okay.
and so I mean that cred alone has it going. He also did Girl in the Spider Web. I
Right.
didn't think it was a bad movie; it just wasn't a great movie. But I mean, Fede has had some stumbles. I will say, but the advanced reviews are out for Romulus. They're pretty good. And it's got Kaylee Spaney in it, who was in Civil War and Priscilla, and I'm really enjoying her work a lot. So I don't know. I'm excited. And that trailer works for me. There's so much good stuff in that trailer. So
Hmm.
I'm excited for it. But that brings us to end on this week's episode. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Letterboxd at the Stevel Dead.
You can find me on Letterboxd at HoneyBunChloe.
You can find this show at stevestebbing.ca. You can also go to the YouTube page, which is just Steve Stebbing. Please rate and subscribe and rate. I don't know, do both. That'd be great. And you can also find these episodes on shiftheads.ca. You can find the Facebook group Shiftheads. And I am also on Shane Hewitt's new show on News 1010. I think it's called Shane Hewitt in the Night Shift. And that's out of Toronto, so I'm on at 8 o'clock every Friday Eastern time in the evening. And yeah, being the late night that one show, that would make sense. Over explaining. I'm also on Tremble, the horror podcast with Kurt and Taylor, as well as After the Credits with Marina, Bill, and Melissa. I just Google those show names and you'll find all the episodes. And well, we've emptied out our list for this week. We got to fill it up again. So until then, bye bye.